Axis Flying are a brand that often make quite strange products. However, they sometimes make something that you didn't actually know you needed that turns out to be very, very interesting. And one of them is this. This is a CNC kit for the DJI O4 standard, or what I refer to as the light ear unit. Now, what I'm going to do today is just give you a bit of an overview of this kit, and I'm going to get it under the thermal camera and just talk about it and show you what this is and what it can do compared to how the ear unit performs without something like this fitted. Now, with the release of DJI O4, we had two ear units. We've got the nice big Pro, which comes fully encased in aluminium, two antennas and a nice big camera. And then you have what DJI call the standard version, or what I prefer to refer to as the light that you see here. Now, this is not technically a 1S board. It should be labelled as a 2S board, but it does work down to lower voltages. It comes completely bare bones, as you see it here, which was a great surprise to many of us. I never imagined DJI actually shipping a bare bones board like we see here. And whilst this is ideal for ultralight whoop situations, there are many people who actually want to use this board in either something bigger like a 3.5-inch quad or a wing, or in a scenario where it's got potential to get damaged or lack of airflow. As a result of that, you need some protection options, or at least a metal casing to offer cooling, and this is where Axis Flying come in. They have released some accessories for the O4 standard or light ear unit. We have a full metal casing available for the ear unit itself, so if you want to protect the ear unit, but they also have camera housings available for the camera, allowing you to mount it into more traditional frames. What we're going to do is take a closer look at both of these, and then we're going to get it under the thermal camera to give you an idea of how these actually affect the performance thermally as well, to see if it does offer any benefits. Axis have a few options available. We have our metal heatsink, and then we have two camera options. There's a 20mm option and a 14mm option that allows you to convert that light or standard camera into a 20 or a 14 mount fitting. Now, to start, we will take a look at the heatsink. This is a full CNC metal heatsink for the O4 standard ear unit. What's nice about this is that they've designed it in such a way that it will offer additional cooling potential on the ear unit. So for instance, if we look at each side, it is fully CNC machined with Axis Flying there. We've got some little resin areas there for heat dissipation, and then inside you will also notice that there are specific areas for the actual components on the board. So for instance, this area here is CNC'd in such a way that it will meet the top of the two ICs, the E3T as well as the S2, to offer additional cooling. It's done there as well, and you can see there. And then also in the kit, they include some thermal grease as well as some screws for mounting the unit together. Now, what this is going to do is offer some additional cooling on that O4 ear unit. For instance, if I just grab this here and mount this without actually fitting it on with the thermal compound a minute, you can see that there is designed to actually meet a specific area of the board. So if we just have a look, I suspect that is designed to meet, which way are we going here? There we go. So that there is designed to meet the top of that RAM chip there. And then when you mount that, you can see you've got the space around there for your camera cable. You've got your antenna output down there, and then you've got your bind button there. And then this side of the board is designed in such a way to meet the main chipsets. As I've said already, they are visible under this here. So for instance, if we grab this sticker and gently peel that back, you will then see that that reveals the two main ICs underneath. And then this is CNC'd in such a way that that lump there will meet our RAM chip here. And then this area will meet the top of our two ICs, our E3T and our S2. And if I then just mount that on the top, you can then see that it sandwiches the board inside just like that, still giving you access to the USB-C, the power connector, the antenna, as well as the bind button. But what that's going to do is offer some additional cooling and protection on the air unit. Alongside that, on the camera side, we've then got the two housings. Now, I ordered the 14mm case here. As I've said, it's available as a 14 or a 20, depending on your use case. 14 means you're going to be able to nicely mount this into something like a racing frame if you wanted to, or something else that offers your traditional 14mm spacing. This housing is metal, just like the housing for the air unit itself. It has some protection glass on the front of it as well, so that's actually protecting the lens on the camera there too. And then you can see inside there where the camera goes. Again, the idea of this is allowing you to actually mount your camera inside. So if I just pop that down like that, this should let us pop the camera into the housing just like that. It then has a space there, and then that allows for us to mount that over on the back just like that. There's a space then in the back for your MIPI cable to come out. There's a screw hole on either side, and they include 2 screws with that there. And there is also some thermal paste included with this as well. If we actually have a look on this, they've also added that massive area there in the middle, CNC'd around it to meet the back of the camera sensor to again help dissipate the heat off the back of the camera into this main housing. And what that's then going to do is give you not only the protection, but also the additional cooling. Okay, now just to show you this 04 Lite air unit under my thermal camera. Now, I haven't got the macro lens on yet. It's been powered up for a few minutes. Let me just turn on some temperature measurement options. So we're going to track the maximum temperature there. And we'll turn on the center tracker as well, just so you've got an indication of the temperatures that we're getting. So you can see up there, there's an IC up there in the corner, which is the maximum temperature. That's what you're seeing there. That is picking up at 87, 88 degrees. We've then got temperature on our ICs. So again, if I just pop that there, you can see that temperature there. We're talking 80 degrees on that IC as well, which is our memory chip. But really what you can see is there's a lot of heat being produced on this side of the board. And at this moment, this is just standby mode. It is not recording. It is not kicking out full RF power. It is just sitting there in standby mode. If I actually, at this point, oh, it's already gone into thermal shutdown at this point without me doing anything. If I now spin it over to this side of the board, again, you can see that metal heat shield down there. This is around the RF chipset. That is getting quite hot, but the hottest spot is actually in the middle. That is actually likely coming through from the other side of the PCB. If I just pop my macro lens on, and if we then go in a little bit closer, you can now see in a bit more detail that there is at 70 odd degrees, and we're tracking the hottest temperature down this side here. That shield there is certainly not the hottest. And then if we spin it back over to this side, you can see there, those two components there are the hottest. That IC, 70 degrees. That over there, not sure what that is at this point. It's running hot. We're getting 60 odd degrees on the main chips. but we're not even recording at this point. Oh, it's already gone into overheat again. So you really just don't get any time with this on the bench with regards to coal to overheating. It certainly cannot maintain its temperature as it is here, bare bones. So what we're going to do now is mount it into our heat sinks and then see how long we can actually get it to last and what the thermals are like. I'm not going to time it before putting it in because you just don't get any time at all. It's completely different. This thing will just overheat in a heartbeat. So what I'm going to do is open the pack that they've included with the thermal paste. We are going to start with this side of the IC. So I'm going to pop some on there and spread it down. I'm not going to put too much on, but we do want a layer of it. We definitely want some on this area over here as well. This is definitely thicker than the stuff that DJI supply. There we go. So that should hopefully squeeze in nicely. So we're going to, actually, let's do it the other way. Let's bring this onto this. So it should be that way there, as I understand it. So hopefully that has pushed in nicely. Do I want to pull it off? Oh yeah, it's definitely sticking. That's good. And then we want to put some on this here, which again will meet the top of this chip. So we will have some additional thermal contact there, which is going to go like that. There we go. So now we've got that in. What is nice about this is it should also offer a little bit of additional protection there around the antenna as well. You can still rotate it. Now, once you've got this all built up, you do retain the 25 by 25 mounting pattern. That goes straight through the PCB and out the bottom. You do have the screw mounts that you could use, but you're going to need to get yourself some custom screws. But for mounting this to the frame, you can either use a sticky pad or use that 20 by 20. It does actually have a little bit of a standoff on the bottom there to lift it off the bottom with the screw holes if you wanted to use them. But what it does mean is you're going to be able to mount it into a standard frame if you want to. You could use adhesive pads, but obviously that's going to affect the cooling performance. In something like a fixed wing, I'd actually be trying to mount this up a little bit higher so you're getting airflow over both sides. So let's get the thermal back up and running and see how it looks. Let's power this up, making sure I've got the connector the right way round, which should be that one there. There we go. It's now kicking in and you can see it there under the camera. Now we are I did actually turn off low power mode in my last test before it went off. So I'm just going to turn it back on. So we're in low power state. And then we can start to see how it looks and behaves in a low power state. I'm going to start a timer on my phone now. We're already a few seconds in, but still, we were a good 10 seconds in there. But we're in the same state we were earlier, and then we'll monitor it and see how it behaves in the heatsink. It's definitely warming up, that's for sure. Just showing you the thermal camera. You can see there on the back of the camera, that point that's getting hot. You can see why with the camera housing heatsink, they've added it so it touches that, but you're going to want to remove the sticker. But again, let's just track the temperature on the casing. I'm going to leave the macro lens off for this one because we don't need the macro on to go in and have a closer look. All we want to do is sort of track the temperatures. So the maximum now is being picked up basically the board down by the UFL. You can see there. If I now just spin it over, let's have a look at this side. So this side is definitely hotter. Again, that is around those main ICs. 47, 48. Let's get the macro and go in a bit closer. So you can see there in close. It's not really worth looking in close on this, but you can see that that's the area there. That's definitely showing the hottest. Let's get there. There we go. So it's definitely working. We've got no overheat errors at all at this moment in time. All looking good. We're at 2 minutes now on the timer, which is probably close to 2 minutes and 20 seconds in reality. Definitely hotter on this side. So if we just spin it back. Yes, we're definitely hotter on the bottom side of it. Not a lot between it. But definitely still under control. No issues at all with overheating. Again, just a reminder, we're not armed at the moment. We're not recording. We were not armed and recording earlier. It would overheat in standby mode earlier. So I just want to see how long we can go in standby mode. And then we might move to chuck it into recording. At this moment, it feels like it's able to keep it under control. It doesn't feel like it's going to actually hit an overheat temp. I think what we'll do is we'll now move this into an armed state. So we're going to turn off low power mode because this is how most people are going to want to use this. So low power mode is now off. We are in 4:3 1080p 100 and I'm going to start recording. So now, already up to that temperature, we are now at maximum bit rate. Auto RF power. I'm not on manual power, so it's going to be quite low level at this point. But again, we can now see that that temperature is increasing. We spin it over. Yeah, it's not as hot this side. This side is definitely not as hot. This is the side with the main chipset. So this is the side that's always going to have the most heat. No overheat warnings. Everything looking good. So I guess the next question is we'll see if it will move into an overheat scenario. We've been on a total of 4 minutes 47. It's at least 5 minutes at this point. We spent most of that in low power mode. I'm not particularly worried about doing this super accurate. That is, you know, that is an amount of time. What I do want to demonstrate, though, is that this heatsink will allow it to run. But again, I'm not particularly worried about the RF side. That doesn't generate the most heat. It's the chipset and recording. Still recording. We've been recording 1 minute and 45 seconds. And no overheat. So this clearly makes a difference. If we just move to the camera and we'll have a look on the back of the camera, you can see the heat there on the center. Gets to 55, 56 degrees on the back of the camera. You can see on my bench where the Airunit was. Oh, wow. That is so hot now. I can't actually touch it. That just touched my finger, right? Okay, so it's now come up with a processor overheated warning and shut down recording. So that recorded without any airflow. What did we get on that? We got, I think it's just over 2 minutes. So it's now reached the overheat point. Ow. I cannot even touch that at this point. So now we're back on and we're looking at the camera. You can see there on the thermal, it's all cold at the moment. I'm just going to look through my goggles and see what it looks like. That all looks fine. I can't see any difference with that extra glass lens on the front. I would expect it to have an impact. It is absolutely possible that that additional glass lens may cause a problem on the front with flaring, issues like that. That is just a reality. You could pop that glass lens out though if you wanted to. However, it doesn't look too bad. If we then get this on the thermal, just to show you there, yeah, there's barely any heat making it through into that at the moment. It will obviously transfer heat. You can see the air unit behind there getting a lot hotter. It obviously will transfer heat, but right now that all looks pretty good. Happy with that. Again, the camera module I think is as much for size than it is thermal, but it does offer some thermal benefits as well. Yeah, pretty much looks okay. Now, as for the impact on weight, if we take the ear unit and camera with the antenna fitted, all in this housing, you're now talking a total weight of 20.69 grams. That's obviously with the camera heatsink on there and the main board heatsink. It's obviously going to have an effect, but it is still quite a nice option for those who don't want to go down the road of a Pro or would want a 14mm camera option. Now, as for what use case this is ideal for, well, if weight isn't a factor, this is going to offer A, additional protection, and B, additional thermal mass for cooling. It is a bit easier to maintain temperature on this ear unit in this casing than it is when it is completely naked. For ground-based vehicles or for planes, wings, or anything where you want to be able to sort of control the amount of airflow going over it, this is going to help. It is not going to allow the ear unit to operate completely without airflow. You are going to need airflow or a fan. You can obviously mount a fan on the top of this on the original mounting points if you wanted to. You've still got those original holes that go through the ear unit. But if you're using this in a situation where there's a little bit of airflow, it should just help to keep it running. And I think it's a great option for people who are looking to use the O4 light ear unit in a scenario that isn't ultra lightweight. You've got that 14x14 mounting or the 20x20 on the camera, which is good to see. So again, this would allow you to put it into a full size FPV frame as well if you wanted to. Now, price-wise, this kit is actually really quite cheap. On the Axis Flying website, if you get the 20mm camera component fit in, that is $4.90. If you get the 14mm one, it's $11.90. There is a price difference between the two. If you want the ear unit CNC kit, again, $11.90. Or you can get it as a component set for basically $20 for the 14mm one, or $15.90 for the 20mm one. I think for the price, it's really quite a good deal. Again, it's offering additional protection, additional cooling mass. You're getting the thermal paste included. You have everything that you need in the kit to get going. So really, what's not to like? So there it is. Hope you found this video interesting. If you have, please do consider checking out the links to my Patreon as well as buy me a coffee. I want to say a huge thank you to all of my Patreons. We would not be able to keep making content on this channel without their support. And if you'd like to support us, please do consider checking it out. It really does make the difference between me being able to make content on this channel and not. And finally, if you're interested in getting one of these, there will be a link to it in the description. Anyway, that's it from me. Stay safe. I will speak to you soon.